Hey, what's going on, guys? Alright, so the issue with the Colossus shocks, everybody I've talked to has had success after replacing this plastic cap. So apparently that is a weak spot of these, which this is aluminum, which I don't know if I covered that in my unboxing or not. I couldn't tell. But this is aluminum plastic topped. I think I said that, but regardless if I didn't, it is. So they're very good shocks as far as the bore and all goes, but this is a weak spot. It's proved to be a weak spot from a couple people I've talked to. So I'm going to show you guys how to take this apart and resolve the issue. So of course, first of all, you want to drain them. Get them as much out as you can. Now this one, you can see this one I actually busted. The bottom came out of it because it was completely empty. So there's a little key on the end of this. Oops, wrong one. There's a little key on the end of this. You just take it off the end of this piston. Alright, you should be able to pull that out. My O-ring stayed. Okay. Alright, so if you break it, this is the stock replacement here, which we're not going to use. We're going to use these, the aluminum caps. Alright, so I'm going to stop that video there. It has an error in it that I do and didn't catch. I was taking the O-rings out of the bottom of that shock, and it left it on the end, and when I set it down, I had done some stuff. I went to go get the metal caps, aluminum caps for the bottom, and I had set it down, got back, got on Facebook, did some stuff, and it was like half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that went by before I got back to it. So by the time I did, usually when I separate stuff like that, it means, to me, that would have meant that it went in the inside. And again, a few alcoholic beverages, real late in the morning, probably close to where it's at now, which is 2:30, 3 o'clock, and might have been later than that. But regardless, I made an error. I don't like errors on there if they can get caught. If I didn't do it on purpose, or if I didn't have a disclaimer on there that, hey, I'm just trying this. But this really worked out all for the better, because a couple good things came out of it. But for right now, the thing that we're going to learn is one of these shocks is the one I had to rebuild, and then I wound up putting the O-ring on the inside. So it is, I gotta find it, because the other ones, like I said, I didn't have to rebuild. I just took the pistons out. It just didn't seem, like I said, I total mess up, my fault. Wasn't even thinking about it until I caught myself and saw that I did it. I saw where I pulled that out of back on my video, which I didn't even catch when I was editing. So it's just one of them things. Anyhow, so I'm going to take one apart. Go check it. Hopefully it's the right one. If it's not, then I'm going to get messy and put it back together, and we're going to build it as an emulsion shock. That's what these little bleeder caps on here for. So CEN Racing has put that technology in these shocks. So I didn't know that. That's one of the good things that came out of this. So, but this is a bleeder cap. So we're going to make this kind of like, if you've ever seen like the Traxxas. Now this is what I was told this does. Kind of like the Traxxas trucks that you see them, and they jump and they hit the ground and they just kind of stay, when they land, they don't have the bounce, they don't have the recoil. So that's supposedly what this is supposed to do. So I'm eager to try it now, which, I don't mind taking this all apart again for that. I wish I would have known all this yesterday, or the day before, but again, I was in a rush trying to get this truck out, which I never did. Still haven't did my battery tray. I think I'm just going to put the other one on because it's just easier. I was trying to shave it and show people that you can do it and save some money. But again, I don't need to do that. I just like to do that kind of stuff to show people. So, but again, I don't want to be misleading people. So I'm going to take all this apart again. I'm going to find this one. Anything that I was going to show you in the end of that other video I stopped is going to be in this anyhow. So, we'll take this off and I'll get back to it here in a few. All right. So we find something to empty this into. Oh, you know what? It's 70 weight. Let's see if I can put it right back in the bottle. Let's see if this is the one. So anyway, this is what you would do. You would empty your shock. This is for just upgrading oil. But I did show that in the video, so that's just kind of why I'm going over it. But we're going to unscrew this cap too here in a second to see if it's got 2 O-rings in it or not. I want to give a big shout out, man. This is Steven Gonzalez, one of my customers and members in a couple of Facebook groups I run, and he pointed this out to me on YouTube that hey, sure that thing goes in there? And I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine, man. That's how I took it out. And you know, I didn't get time to message with him, and then we went back and forth, and just one of them things that I chuckled about after I went back and watched the video. What the hell's going on here? Oh, take that out now. Damn, the oil's still in there. Alright, so we're going to take off the bottom. But yeah, so it's just, again, I really appreciate it, guys. If I mess up or something, man, I'm not perfect. Don't use me as a guideline, or I'm sorry, use me as a guideline. Don't use me as, you know, what's what. And guys, I've put shocks together before. I mean, I know better. It's just, you know, timing wasn't perfect for me. And again, you know, if I was doing this and not being in a hurry, you can pull the manual up, and the manual has it all in there, which Steven also pointed out. So no, this is the good one. Both of them are in there. Now, if I would have taken this apart and mine had not been busted, I mean, I'm not going to forget that in the layout. But mine was pushed up. I just set it down. Got sidetracked. This is what it looks like. So it's O-ring, bushing, O-ring, and then of course you put your cap back on. So that's what you would do. So if you're removing your plastic caps, that was the whole purpose of that video. This is the steps at this point. So this is what I've taken out that I actually got right, other than that I got them right on all the other shocks, of course, except for the one that I did on video, which was the broken one. So to be fair, I was fits pretty tight. You really don't have to tighten it much more than hand, and it really won't let you when when you get on there with those threads are so sharp. I mean, I don't think they'd back down because there's no real movement other than up and down. But I would almost say put thread lock on them because they're so fine of a thread. So that ring in there, or that opening, is not for the washer and stuff, as I would have said, which again, you're not seeing any of that now, but I'm just doing this and talking about what happened for the people that might have watched that video and be like, well, why the hell am I watching this again, and why is it different? So this is why. Now this is the fun part, guys. This is where we build the emulsion shock. Now I take no credit for this. Steven pointed this out to me as well and sent me to the link of the Techno RC link that they took regular shocks and made them emulsion shocks. These are actually designed for it and they don't have the bladder, and they have the screw that you remove, which is for the bleeder. So technique is everything what I showed in that one, pretty much. Like the way I had it set up in this other video, if you did watch that video, which I think about 100 and some people did before I got it down, the rebound, I had more of a rebound. It was a monster truck. It was jamming. It was sagging. I just wanted it up off the ground. I built it like I would some of my regular trucks, and and that's fine. Personally, it was fine if I left it. But then I got intrigued by wanting. I watched the video Steven sent me, and I really wanted to try it and see the difference, because I really love that setup. And if this truck can do it, it's even better to me. So. We'll test it out in a few minutes and see what it does, but I'm going to go ahead and put the oils back in this, show you guys what he showed me on the YouTube video, which again, I think it was Techno RC. It was emulsion shocks, it was the video, but again, I'm going to cover everything he did for the most part, except for he's drilling a hole and putting a screw on the top of it. Now first things first, make sure you got your hands free. Get that screw out a while. It's a 1.5. Now again, this is just CEN. Now you can do this apparently. Now don't quote me on any of this, guys. I just learned about this stuff myself. but I've watched 2 videos on it already now. The other one was more for reference and the jumping and stuff. But that's get that screw out. You're gonna need to. But this it has to be a certain shock. I don't think you can do it with one with a bladder, or you have to remove the bladder to be able to do it. And at that point, you need an O-ring. So they'll tell you to put an O-ring, I think, down at the bottom. I don't know how much I like that, because he had it down here at the bottom lip. Like, this shock's actually got like a embedded O-ring all the way through the middle, and it's got the O-ring on the inside. So I mean, these definitely are made for what we're looking in. And as Steven mentioned, which he really liked, is these shocks that came on this truck stock, and he was amazed that they put them on the RTR, which I didn't even know what I had, guys, and most people probably don't. And that's why I am doing this revision, so I can show you guys what you got, show you the right way to do it, at least this time, and maybe teach everybody something. I learned today, so I love to share that. Alright, so the trick is, I'm going to get it full, almost full, as in almost like overflowing full. Put the cap on. Alright, now you push the shock down. You'll get some air bubbles coming out and some oil. And try to, I couldn't get this boot down. I tried to get it down. He had a big boot on the one he did. He pulled that down, so I know he was still getting some, but I'm going to push it down and make sure it's, basically down to the bottom as far as it's going to go real quick. I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to put the screw back in place while I'm holding it. Clean up the oil afterwards, as it's about to leak all over me. So I'm all the way down, and I'm putting the screw back in, and cap it off. I'm not done yet. Alright, so it's in. Now he said 30. I mean, that's what I did roughly. I mean, keep track of how many you're doing. I did 35. Pull the shaft out. Don't waste around. You want to get this while the bubbles are still in there, and pop in, I guess, before they settle. Get the cap out. Shaft expanded. Shoot. I like to have this screw. Keep the screw ready to go. It's just easier. Now do it again. Now, like he said, if you're not getting bubbles and things right now, then you might not have enough oil in. See, that's the second time around. I still got a bunch more out. So push it down really hard. Hold it. Alright. I want to clean it really well, because I want to make sure it's not leaking anywhere. So any old remnants of oil I want to get off. Now, it's not going to have that rebound that I said I liked. For the ones that did see it, it doesn't have the rebound, but it's a different kind of shock setup. So it doesn't need to have the rebound supposedly. So we're going to see. Now, make sure, Colossus people, if you ever have this rubber piece, you want to pull this rubber piece up a little bit, because you want this piece here to fit and hold onto that. This is to help the shock from bottoming out. You don't want to squish it or get it on the other side of that. Much softer. I can tell that for sure. Equal pressure. Much more fluent. Much stiffer. Again, I was thinking I want this for a monster truck. I loved it. I loved yesterday and right now. I love the feel of this. But I'm intrigued by this, and I'm going to try it. I mean, like I said, there's no point of wasting the technology if that's what it was made for. And I'm curious. I'm going to have to look into it a little more, see if CEN tries to set these up this way. So this is going to be the one that has the O-ring in it that's in the wrong place. So I don't know if I'm going to film this. This is all the same. same process I just did. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done myself, and then we will get it all put back together, and we will go try on these two and take a peek and see what the difference is. Alright, so let's give it the independent test. Alright, so it's got that independentness there. Alright, there we can tell the difference. Now, make sure these are the same. I want everything to be the same. This has, see, watch the shock tower. Same pressure. Like I'm trying to make it stay, but let's not make it. I'm going to do everything the same. Let's put my hands on it, up and down. It seems like this one goes up at the same time this one's evening out. Whereas I don't remember that being the case. And just, oh, it's so much more easier. There's less pressure involved. And they do kick in just because of the way I'm twisting, but you can see the shock tower, how less it moves left and right compared to that. To try to get it to do the same. So it's a big difference, guys. I'm interested in seeing this thing. So this is something for racing, apparently. From what we looked into, and I appreciate Steve, Texas Tech, or Tex Tech, whatever the hell your TX Tech. I'm sure I butchered that, but I appreciate your man on YouTube for calling me out. A good thing came out of that. He saw the shocks on this, and he's in the videos like, man, it doesn't look right with the O-ring going in there. So he hit me up, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, man, that's how I remember doing it. I went back and looked at the video, and sure enough, I took it out the rear. And I'm like, man, just one of them moments, guys. But that's what this is all about. So now, just because I messed up, he is more interested in this truck than he's ever been. I mean, I told him how great of a truck this was, but now he's seen the quality of it. He sees the type of shocks that are in it. He's upgraded his Techno to get shocks just like that. So it's one of them things that kind of worked out for him. It also kind of worked out for me because I didn't know I had these shocks. No, they apparently don't advertise them. At least they don't, set them up that way. I don't think, because I definitely didn't have this before. I definitely had a lot of drop. And that was one of the issues why I wanted to raise it up a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it worked out for him, it worked out for me, because now I'm upgrading mine, and I'm going to do the rear as well. We'll give it one more test, and I'll show the shimmy after I do the rear ones. But, yeah, like I said, we'll be back in a few minutes, and let me get these two done. Alright, so I got it back on, and I tell you what, like I just did a drop test when I sat on the ground, just to see, and I can tell just by that, like right there, and the tower's, it's pivoting, it's going up and down more, it's not twisting with the chassis. So, and when you do this, let's see. It's got a nice drop. Four feet, 5 feet. Seems to, wish I would have done that when I didn't have the shocks off or changed, but it seems to not have any bounce, man. I don't know. I'll have to get one of my guys that's got one of these to do the same kind of testing and see what it does stock. I'm very curious now. So, but that's awesome, man. It's a mistake turned into a pretty good deal, man. So I'm happy about that. So it happens sometimes, but it's always good when you learn from them. So also, I just got the shocks done. I put 70 in the rear, and I went with 50 for the fronts. But I am going to do the center diff as well. I'm not going to rip the rear apart just yet. These things are not the easiest things to get to. Even though I'm taking this plate off, the rear isn't as important to me as the front is and the center diff. So I will be putting some center diff fluid in here, and I just want to show the access to this because it seems to be pretty easy. The easiest thing I'll probably have to get to on this truck. And if that's the case, you just flip it over and it's 4 screws here on the bottom. And by the looks of it, this whole case is going to come off and give me that diff. It'll be the easiest thing I've taken off on this truck yet. There it is. That's a big spur, boy. Look at that thing. Man, that is a big spur. I gotta look at how many teeth this thing's got. There's probably one here somewhere. It's crazy. It's huge. Big truck though, so. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and crack this off and throw some oil in it. I mean, I don't need to show that, but I just want to show that access. Very accessible. You know, I already got the front end tore off. I'll throw this back on. I'll be back up and running in, you know, 20 minutes to an hour. You know, with batteries and loading everything up and all, but this feels like it's got some good oil in it right now. I don't know if I even need to mess with this. I don't know what they put in here. This is definitely oil filled. I can feel it, so I might not even mess with this, guys. It feels man, it feels like 200 or 300 right now. Well, since I got it off, I'm going to go ahead and look at it. But alright guys, but either way, pop it back in when I'm done, and it's as simple as that. So alright, so everything's back together. It's about the first time I've had it fully up and running, functional I should say, probably about a month and a half. So this will be fun. So what I did wind up going with that servo. So that is installed. Oh, I don't have the battery strapped down. That is installed, so I'm going to take it out real quick. I just want to find a thick piece of grass before anybody cuts it, and get a look at how it turns. Did install some running lights just for fun, but I figured the way the chassis works, it'd be nice to I can have them on there and not have to worry about taking it off with the body. And then I got the plates on the front and rear as well. These are really nice plates. I do like them. And then they bolt and attach there to the plastic one as well with a nut and washer. So alright, let me go test out this servo. So this is about the thickest piece of grass I'm going to find. And I know for a fact I've turned it out here, and this is what got me wanting to put a new servo in. It's because I hit areas like this and it would sit there and you would just see the flex on the servo saver, or it's straining. Even right now it's kind of straining with this 500K, but I mean, that's definitely way better than it was. I mean, I wish I would have done it before and after if I would have thought about it. So I was doing this for me, not for video. And that's acceptable to me. And the more I let it do, it like digs itself in. See, it starts to dig itself in. Still doesn't turn the best, but double the torque. I can tell, but I guess you need that monster torque to really be able to do that. Plus, you know what, guys? You know what? I'm not even thinking about that either. I didn't even really adjust that servo saver, so that thing might be a little loose. Because here we are on concrete, and it's still.